If you're looking to break into tech sales and succeed in an entry-level role like an SDR and BDR role, you want to know what it takes to crush it, then this video is for you. Or if you're a current SDR or BDR and you want to know how to get promoted to the next level and become an account executive making a lot more money and taking advantage of the upside of commissions, this video is for you. We're going to talk about how to hack the SDR role, how to be effective at it, number one, and number two, how to make cold calling and cold outreach not suck. Today we're talking with Carter here, who worked with me at Google Cloud and then got promoted from a BDR and SDR role to a closing role with a premier Google partner. He actually hacked the role. He stumbled upon a few secrets to success. Make sure to stay for the whole video to get the most value out of this. Hit the like button, of course, if you get value out of it. It'll show the video to more people who can benefit from the message because the algorithm loves that. And of course, make sure to subscribe for weekly sales and personal growth hacks that you can chew on like snacks. But Carter is the man. Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So I can't complain. Pumped out this conversation. How did you stumble upon the secrets to hacking the SDR and BDR role? What was the backstory?
Yeah, good story. Okay, so I was at Google Cloud. I started as a business development role, and at first I was a very low performer. I was bottom of the barrel. Eventually, after 6 months or 8 months or so, I moved up to be, a decent performer. I was middle of the pack, but really wanted to get promoted, so I was really focused on trying to find a way to, really didn't want any mediocrity in my life, and I wanted to find a way to 10x it, and I stumbled upon something that ended up being very effective. So we had a competition called the BDQ competition. It happened to be just for, you could get 2 emails back from a customer to count for one, or 1 phone connect, and I realized that I could win this competition and make myself look good if I just really hammer the phones throughout the competition. It was about a month long. Ended up winning the competition, which was great. I got a little trophy for it, but the best thing about it was that I set 24 new customer meetings that month, which is a good amount for this particular job. And it's that I realized, hey, I'm actually onto something. I can harness this as I need and really have success with this role. So I ended up going to a partner, and once I was at the partner, the same strategy worked. And I was doing about 25, or on average about 35 calls per day. That's what it shook out to. Some days more, some days less. But every single week I would get between 20 to 25 customer connections on the phone. And this shook out to about 3 to 4 meetings per week. And at this company, no one had ever done this before. This was a higher output than anyone else. The best people were doing maybe 1 to 2 per week at the time. So I quickly, it was so satisfying that it worked so quickly. But essentially what happens is I have the same call script memorized in my head, nothing flashy. And then keep in mind, this is an imperfect process. This isn't necessarily the end all be all, but this is a tool that is always there for you if you do need it. So I would make about, on average, 35 calls a week and talk to about 20 to 25 prospects on the phone, 3 to 4 meetings a week. That equated to about 50 meetings in the first quarter, and then I even kind of took off the gas and got about 30 the second quarter, rounded it out about 100 meetings in 8 months or so. And at that point I already knew I was getting the promotion. What I was tapping into with this process was the law of averages. The law of averages is something that just exists. Statistically, things are going to happen a certain way, and it really makes you be at peace with the whole process. I'm not changing up my strategy, so just to go into a story, an analogy that I like to tell for this is a story involving Babe Ruth. If you ever saw the movie Sandlot, that was the signed baseball. He used to be the most famous athlete probably in the world for 50 plus years. The greatest baseball player ever at the time. I'm not even a baseball guy either, by the way. Babe Ruth, the story goes, they were playing against the best left-handed pitcher in the game. The bases, there were a couple people on the bases, they were down by about 2 runs. And this particular pitcher was extremely good, left-handed. Babe Ruth was the final batter, and this was, everybody watching was just clinched up because they were, the fans of Babe Ruth's team were thinking, this is either he has to do something, this play, or else we lose. And if he does do something, we could potentially win. So the first pitch happens. Babe Ruth, he swings and he misses. And just it didn't really faze him too much. He kind of just adjusts his hat, has that same matter-of-fact smile each time. And then the second pitch comes in. He swings, he misses. He even dramatically falls to one knee with this particular pitch, and he just doesn't seem too phased. He kind of adjusts his hat like always, has a kind of a smile, just very calmly goes back to do it the third one, and then the third pitch, it's all do or die here. He rockets it out of the park. It's a home run, bases were loaded, everybody walks on, he does too, they win the game. So it's great and all. So afterwards, an interviewer is asking him, hey, Mr. Ruth, why is it that you seem so calm and nonchalant during that? Like, aren't you worried that you could have either lost the game or won the game? And he says, you know what, I don't really worry about it too much. I just trust in the old law of averages. And what really, like, I just go up there, I do my same swing. Statistically, some of them are going to connect, some of them aren't. And and then he says this line that I love. He said, why should I be worried? It's the pitchers that should be worried. So I love that line. I read that. That's from a book actually called How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Sailing by Frank Betcher. I wish the title was shorter on that
I'll
book,
link that in the description, by the way.
Great book. I was worried it was going to be super outdated, but because the guy was a contemporary of Dale Carnegie, but great book. I read it during a schlump one time, and that story just really resonated with me. And I try to remember that, because imagine if Babe Ruth had switched up his batting style each time he got a strike. Imagine how horrible of a baseball player he would have been.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to just find a method that works and then keep doing that. So I had the same call script that I memorized. It was essentially the same as a generic email. The work, I would just say, hi, this is Carter calling on behalf of company XYZ. Did I catch you at a bad time? Strike that from the video. Did I catch you at a bad time? And they say, yes or no. Let's say they say, no, it's fine. I can talk. So yeah, I appreciate it. So we reached out to you. I'm part of the company XYZ team responsible for starting/growing the relationship with your company. And I was reaching out for two reasons. One, just wanted to make introductions, and then two, we were just hoping to understand what's important from your perspective, various challenges, initiatives, etc. And then if appropriate, we can obviously roll that into further talks. Very casual. Of course, there was a little more to it, me kind of knowing the product and knowing how to kind of go back, but I was definitely not the most fancy, smooth talker. I wasn't really necessarily that good with rebuttals. I never really focused on it. All I focused on was just doing my same strategy. And I remember when I first started there at Google, I would, like, if a call went bad, I would switch up my tactic. So then I realized that I needed to just keep the same effective tactic and use that. Quiet you.
Is that Siri?
It was Google.
No, Google.
But so ultimately this is something that worked really well. And then I was able to receive it was named something different, but I was essentially the SDR of the year for my current company. Got promoted to account executive, which was awesome.
So you're telling us that if you trust in the law of averages, you keep showing up, you make calls, 30 or so calls a day, you're gonna get results. And you shouldn't try and change up your approach, but stick to a simple call script. That's what works, right? Well, how do you make cold calling not suck? Because a lot of people find out when they get into a BDR or SDR role, it's a lot of work, it's a grind and you get rejected and it's tough. How do you make it not suck on the way to success?
Yeah, that's a good question because that leads exactly into the next point that I had to make. So I think this was a really important strategy for me, and I think nobody really wants to do this. They're kind of scared to do this, I think, but I would listen to an audiobook or a podcast while I was calling, actually. So this is the most unique thing about it. Everything before is probably more, everyone has heard that before, it just works, it's a good strategy. But listening to the audiobook, literally just have it open in a sliver, and then I'm calling through the computer, and I was listening to this book called Shantaram. It's a book a writer friend recommended, said it was the best book he ever read. It was really good. It was about this guy's adventures in India, and you know, when you're watching a movie or a really good show, you really get into the climactic parts of it. So this is a great way to take your mind off the kind of mundane, repetitive elements of the job itself. So I would have this playing as soon as the customer answered, I pause it. I already have my script memorized, and then bam, just like very smooth, kind of pause it as I'm starting, like, hi, Jeff. The answer like, hi, this is Carter calling on behalf of company XYZ. Did I catch you at a bad time? No, this is fine. Okay, so yeah, I reached out. One, just wanted to make introductions. And then two, we were just hoping to understand what's important in your world. So this was a great way to actually do more calls, because a lot of people, they think they're not good at cold calling, but really they just don't do it enough because it's too unpleasant. Imagine if you're calling, you make 20 calls, no one answers, finally someone calls, doesn't even let you get 3 words out. Very frustrating and unpleasant. So what I would do is, with this audiobook, you're coming up to a climactic part of the book, someone tells you no, it's like, okay, great, I can get back to this audiobook. Like, it's a really good part right now.
Yeah.
So that was really the hack to me, and just to make me do it more, not only stay sane, but also just it was actually really fun. Like, I felt like it wasn't even fully work. Like, I could have been walking through the park, listening to this audiobook, I could have been doing anything, and I happened to just be doing this repetitive, like, click to call, click this contact, call, very, very streamlined process, just moving the same mouse movements, listening to this audiobook or a podcast I used to listen to during a few different books, but that worked really well, and I think that was actually a secret to the success.
So make it not suck by listening to an audiobook, getting into this fantasy world, taking your mind off of
Exactly.
the difficult stuff, and even if you get rejected, you have something to look forward to get back to. I like what you said though, a lot of people aren't willing to try it out, but that is an outside the box method that clearly worked for you. So thanks for sharing that tip. I might try that myself. So I have to actually make quite a few cold calls, and you still do it in a closing role.
Yeah,
you know, and that can differentiate a closer from like a great closer to an average closer, by the way. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, this is just one method. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of success using LinkedIn to prospect. Other people have a lot of success using email to prospect. So those are great ways too, and I highly recommend those. But this method is always here for you if you need it. And you don't have to use it. Maybe you can have a lot of success by email cadences, but this method is here for you.
To wrap up, can you talk a little bit about the mindset it takes to succeed making cold calls? Isn't stoicism a part of your approach? I think we were talking about that before, right?
Yeah, and I think the law of averages unlocked stoicism for me because, and just for those of you not familiar, stoicism is relaxing and controlling what you can control. You can't control if somebody says yes or no. You could give them the best sales pitch ever and the most logical sales pitch. They're still going to say no. They're either going to say yes or no. It's not you that is, you know, some people are just F customers. People are just never going to buy something no matter what. So really this method works by a numbers game, and using that law of averages, on average, you'll talk to 25 people a week. On average, maybe 1 in 6 of them will say yes to a call, and that opens a door for your company that could be amazing and builds a pipeline for you, gives you more at-bats, and eventually some of these hopefully close.
Carter, thanks so much for joining and sharing your insights on how to crush the SDR and BDR role. All of y'all out there, start applying these hacks on how to leverage the law of averages and make cold calling not suck through listening to a podcast or getting immersed in a story to be successful, get promoted, make more money, and be more effective with ease. Y'all can do it, y'all can crush it. Make sure to hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm shows this video to more people who can benefit from the message. And obviously if you like the video, definitely give it a like. And make sure to subscribe for weekly sales and personal growth hacks that you can chew on like snacks. Happy selling and happy living.